Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the B&E podcast. This is episode number 10. I'm Bryce Gelman, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Evan Kamiko. Evan, welcome back.
Man, it's been 10. We've done 10. This is the 10th. Oh, my God.
10 episodes in 5 months, 6 months.
That's not bad.
It's like an episode and a half.
Episode and a half.
I think that's a solid. I think that's a solid ratio, to not doing it. But it's a good level of production. It's a good level of production.
Absolutely. Especially with back in April, May, June. No sports. So you really can't do much. We had our different moving parts, and then August we unfortunately missed August because of, moving into school and having to settle down, having to finish up, doing certain things that we can't fully talk about on air. Not you, but me. Okay, but anyway, let's get right into it. The Yankees losing. The Rays absolutely trolled the living shit out of the Yankees. They played New York by Frank Sinatra in the bubble at the stadium after the game. I thought that was hysterical. Bryce, let's get your thoughts on the game and the series in, game 5.
Well, what is that? The 4th year in a row that the team that beat us has been playing that song after we lost. This is one of the most pathetic, disgusting, and flat out heinous runs in Yankee history. The fact of the matter is that you don't lose with the team that you have 4 years in a row in the exact same fashion. The 1 year that I knew that we had no chance was against the Red Sox. They destroyed us. They were a much better baseball team than us in 2018. Mm-hmm. Last year, we could have easily beat the Astros. I still think they were cheating. 2017, don't even get me started. They were actually cheating. We should have beat them. That pisses me off daily. But again, I don't think we would have beaten the Dodgers because we were still in a rebuild. We're out of the rebuild. We signed Garrett Cole for 9 years and $324 million. He did his job. He did exactly what you asked him to do. But guess what got cold again? The bats. I knew exactly what was going to happen because it only can sustain itself over a certain period of time. The Yankee lineup was killing it in those 20 games where they went 15-5 in the middle of the season after losing like 10 in a row. And then they went 2-7 the last 9 games of the season. So going into the playoffs, when we got hot again, I was like, okay, when is this going to cool off? And when is our pitching going to get better? Because if those coincided at the exact same time, we had a chance. But with our team being as bad as it was and with our pitching being as depleted as it was, I really didn't think we had a chance against the Rays. And we won game 1. Garrett Cole pitched great. We beat them 9-3. Giancarlo hit a grand slam. Giancarlo, by the way, props to you. Best series I think anyone's ever seen this guy play. He played his heart out. He doesn't play the field, but he played his heart out. He hit 6 home runs in the postseason, which is absurd. You can't ask the guy who you're paying. The one thing I'll say, the one positive from this series is the guys that they're paying the most played the best. Garrett Cole and Giancarlo went off. So props to Cashman for those 2 contracts. I know he didn't sign Giancarlo, but we traded for him and we're paying most of his deal, but props to him for that. But not props to him for a bunch of other things, like not trading for a reliever at the trade deadline. We had no relievers. Usually the Yankees, I think 2 years ago when we signed Zach Britton, we were considered the best bullpen in the league. I don't think it was disputed. Then the Rays started building up theirs. They have guys who can come in at any point and come in and shut the door. So we had 3 guys, realistically. We went Green, Britton, Chapman. Don't even get me started about Chapman. Chapman is one of the worst playoff relievers. I know he did extremely well for you guys.
And it's funny because I was going to bring that up next, but I'll let you finish this and I'll get into my thoughts on Chapman in the postseason.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I know you're going to talk about the fact, let's bring up Rajai Davis.
Okay, that's exactly what I was about to bring up.
Yes. So people look at Chapman for having a great postseason, but people forget that he almost lost the World Series for them. He almost lost the World Series. They were completely out of it.
But again,
out of it.
That's because, Joe Madden was dumb in that game, in my opinion. That, we can debate about this, the game 7 of the 2016 World Series for hours. I don't think Kyle Hendricks should have ever been pulled. John Lester should have never came in.
Talk about Chapman.
But I was getting to Chapman, should have never came in. But at the same time, Chapman is, he was 28, 29 at the time. I don't know his actual age right now.
He was younger.
Probably
he's 31. He's 31 or 32 right now.
So he was about 27, 28. But he was throwing in every game. He threw game 4, game 5, game 6, and then he was being called on game 7. Teams with the lead that have a guy like Aroldis Chapman that can blow fastballs by these guys, they tend to overuse a reliever like that in the playoffs. So what's been happening every year with Chapman? We have a lead, let's go to Chapman. We're tied and it's late in the game, let's go to Chapman. And those innings build up on Chapman. And the issue is now when you get to the Rays game, he pitched the night before because he had to win.
Yeah.
Now the next night he's coming in. His
to
slider
fair,
wasn't. His
we
slider.
Didn't
he
need
wasn't
to win there. We were up 5-1. We decided to send him right back out in game 4. There was no reason for that.
I disagree. I still think you need the win. Yes, you could have used Chapman for maybe the last out or two just to get him a little bit loose because he didn't throw in the day before. He didn't throw the day before in that game because you guys got blown out.
Well, Chapman, to be fair,
you still use Chapman the night before. That was still innings. That was still pitches on his arm. The next night he comes in. Now, if I'm the Rays that night, what they were looking for was the fastball. They wanted to jump on the fastball. They knew Chapman couldn't locate his slider because he clearly couldn't throughout that inning. And Mark Brasso, absolute credit to
Chris
him.
Brasso.
Chris Brasso. Sorry, I thought it was Mark. No, Mark Zanino. Or it's Mike Zanino.
Zanino.
I don't even know the Rays names. But credit to Brasso. He stayed in there. He fouled off pitches, and he got the pitch to hit because Chapman threw him a 100-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. Any professional baseball player should be able to hit an 100-mile-an-hour fastball that is coming in right down the middle. No spin, no cut, no fade, no sinker. They should be able to hit it out of the park, and he found his pitch, and he got it. Credit to Chris Brasso for the at-bat.
Yeah.
Because it was a complete professional at-bat. It was probably one of the best at-bats I've seen in about 4 years. In the playoffs.
Yeah. And if you're looking for a storybook ending with a side story, then that's your story right there. In September, I think it was September 2nd, Chapman threw at Brosseau's head, started the whole fight between the two teams. There was obvious beef between the two of them. And then Brosseau comes up after a 9-pitch at bat, hits the last pitch he sees out of the stadium or out of the park, whatever. I just want to say, the fact that they brought in Chapman to get 7 outs was just it was mind numbing. It was like, why do that? When you overpitch Chapman, he's a 1-2-3 3-out closer. That's it. He doesn't have a lot of ability where he could just come in and do that kind of stuff. I do understand the fact that he did not pitch much in the series. They didn't need him in game 1. They didn't need him in game 2. They didn't need him in game 3. I think he only pitched game 4 and game 5. But when you put him in with 7 out to get 7 outs, like at the end of the 7th inning, when I saw them bringing him in, I was like, oh my God, like I know what's going to happen because it happened last year. Yeah. It literally happened last year.
Happened
and
the year before,
tied.
Happened in 2016.
We were tied with them. It was 1-1. I understand that you have no other relievers to go to, and it had to have been Chapman. Chad Green threw 3 games that series, but like that's the problem, Chapman. Or that's the problem, Cashman. You need to go out and get relievers. When Tommy Caitlin went out to get Tommy John, and whenever I think it was early July, he was there. He was pitching all year long. He thought he was going to be fine, but of course the Yankees caught this injury extremely late, just like they did with Luis Severino, and just like they did with Aaron Judge this year. Thank God, there was a 4-month delay on the season, or Judge wouldn't have played until July. Judge was ready when the season resumed. And then he got hurt again, and then he came back, and it was terrible. He was awful in the postseason. Yeah. He had 3 hits. He had 3 hits in the postseason. You know what those hits were? Home run, home run, home run. He had nothing other than hit home run.
He is a strikeout or home run guy.
Yes, he literally was. Strikeout, walk, or home run. That was it. And to have DJ LeMahieu also struggling, he needs to be the guy who gets on base. I understand that you hit 370 in a year. It's going to be hard to duplicate in the postseason, but hitting 250 in the Rays series when you need to be on base I'm just saying, when LeMahieu gets on base, it's great for the entire lineup because then everyone starts drawing walks. You see longer at bats. When LeMahieu struck out on 3 pitches in game 2 against Glasnow, I was like, oh, we're screwed this game. And we lost because he sets the tone for the rest of the lineup. And to have him, Voit, Urshela, Torres until the last 3 games, not producing, I understand that this is one of the most deep lineups in baseball, if not the deepest lineup. You have guys 1 through 9 who can hit, besides Higgy, but Higgy's defensively, superior to most catchers in the league, and you need to have him in, and he's Garrett Cole's personal catcher. But when you have guys from 1 to 8 able to hit any point, you also could bring in Clint Frazier, And for them not to be producing runs and only score 1 run in game 5 and expect to win the game against a team who's doing extremely well throughout the season in 1-run games and in extra inning games. So if they didn't score in the 8th inning and we went to extras, we would have lost, because who do we have to bring in? Who do we bring in?
You want to know the irony of all this? You want to know the irony?
Yeah.
Last week on the show, you were yelling at me about the Cubs. You were talking to me about the Cubs and how we didn't hit.
Okay,
how the tides have turned. Yeah, but you guys have actually produced runs. The Cubs at one point in the season were the top offensive team in the
You scored 3 runs against the Marlins.
I don't disagree.
In 2 games.
Yeah, in 2 games we scored 3 runs. I don't disagree. But at the same time, the Cubs bats couldn't get going, and the Yankees bats clearly, when it mattered, couldn't get going.
Well, like I said, this team gets cold very fast, and you see it happening right in front of your eyes. And if the pitching isn't good, then you lose. That's just what happens with the Yankees. And that's why during that 20-game stretch where they lost like 15 games, the reason why they were doing bad is because their hitting wasn't doing well and they had no bullpen. Their bullpen blew, I think, 7 or 8 leads, which is that's the Mets. That's the Mets. That's the difference between the Yankees and the Mets. The Yankees can close games, the Mets can't, and the Mets can't hit either. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot allow this to happen. Hal Steinbrenner should be clearing house right now. He won't do it. He talked on the Michael Kay show last week, and he said Boone is going to stay. With the addition of Cashman, there's no way he's going to ever get rid of Cashman. They're 2 peas in a pod. It's very cute, their relationship. Cashman, who's has been doing a great job with this team, but you have to look at him for the mistakes he's been making, and he's made some big mistakes over the past couple of years. And quite frankly, I think Cashman, yes, he's one of the best GMs in the league. He cannot be fired, but you need to have another guy in there who's helping him make decisions. Because let's talk about game 2, because this has been the big issue, when talking about why the Yankees lost the series. They had no good plan. Game 2, they bring in the starter, they bring in Debbie Garcia, and they take him out after 1 inning. I know he allowed a run in the first inning, but we were going to end up putting up, runs that game anyway. We scored 5 runs. We should have won that game. But putting in a rookie who hasn't ever pitched in the postseason for 1 inning, and then taking him out for a guy who could not produce in the postseason, in J Happ, who allowed a home run to Zunino, and that was it. What was the plan there? Do you even comprehend? If you were in that position and you were Brian Cashman, you had to make a plan for game 2. What are you doing in that situation? And I'll answer after you.
Honestly, if I'm the Yankees, I'm going with whatever pitcher is available, who's in my rotation, who has postseason starts.
Both of them.
You go with a veteran. I'm not a fan of starting a rookie pitcher in the postseason with no experience. So I would go with the veteran.
Yeah, and I would go with J Happ. I feel like they were trying to play the matchup game extremely well.
Absolutely.
The fact of the matter is,
they're not the Tampa Bay Rays.
The Rays have that depth. They've lefty righty,
and we'll talk about that in a minute. But, the Yankees did not have the depth in the bullpen and the differential of arm slots, which I'll get into in a little bit when we talked about the Rays, in order to do that. So why are you, we talked about this a lot last week. So why are you changing your style if you're the Yankees? It just doesn't make sense. And that's exactly why they lost.
I completely agree. That was, if you're going to look and point the finger at one certain circumstance in that series, it's probably what happened in game 2. I mean, we're so far beyond that now, but it needs to be said, because we ended up doing our show the day before, game 5 in that series. And it's been a while. It's been almost a week. It's been a week since they lost. Yeah. And there still needs to be issues addressed, and there still needs to be questions answered. And at the end of the day, someone needs to look at this team and say, what happens next? What are we going to do? Because there's a bunch of contracts coming off the books. We do not owe that much money next year. Paxton, Britton, if they don't want him back. Who else is there? There's LeMahieu, who needs to be resigned. That's number one. That's that needs to be done. I'm just saying, if we don't get LeMahieu back, that's priority number 1. If we don't get LeMahieu back, we're screwed. He's the one guy that sets the tone for the rest of the lineup. Another thing we need is lefty batting. We have the short porch in right field, and we just don't want to use it. For some reason, Cashman thinks it's okay to have 8 righties in the lineup and Aaron Hicks. Brett Gardner sits, and we have 8 righties and Aaron Hicks. Yeah. So at the end of the day, what do you need more? You need to balance whether these guys are really able to hit righties, or you need a lefty who's a specialist who can hit that ball over the short porch. And we don't have that. We just do not have it. Instead, we have guys like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton trying to push balls out. That's why Judge was terrible in 2018, because he was trying to push it after pulling everything his rookie year. because once they stopped throwing the fastball, then it was over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't adjust your hitting just because your team is reluctant to actually get lefties. And you got rid of one of your only lefties in Didi Gregorius. So
this team continues to make the Philadelphia Phillies right now.
Happily on a team that didn't make the playoffs.
Not happily, but he's on the Philadelphia Phillies right now.
Listen, I'd love to get Didi back. I think he only signed a 1-year contract to prove himself. I'd love to have him back for a lot less money if he's willing to accept a deal. But right now, you're not looking at a lot of places to plug people in the infield.
Man.
Like, you avoided first base. Giancarlo's the DH. That doesn't give you leniency to sub people in and out because he's always the DH.
Yeah.
You have Voit. You have LeMahieu. You have Torres, who should not be at he should not be at shortstop. He should be at second base. And then you have Urshela, who's going to win the Gold Glove next year if Matt Chapman doesn't play a lot. The fact of the matter is that you just do not have a lot of places to go right here. And the Yankees need to figure out what they're going to do in this offseason and just they can't allow this to happen. That's all I'm going to say. They cannot allow this to happen for the 5th straight year because they'll make the postseason again. They have the roster. Severino's coming back. Hopefully, I mean, I don't think we're going to get Trevor Bauer. I don't think a lot of Trevor Bauer is going to come out and he's going to ask for a lot of money.
My prediction is Trevor Bauer is going to the Padres.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that at another time. All right, let's move on because we've gone 25 minutes on the Yankees right now. The Rays and the Astros of Game 6 tonight. It's Blake Snell versus Framber Valdez. What's your prediction on that game? What are your thoughts? Let's go.
Rays win 9-1. Rays win 9-1.
9-1, and they go to the World Series.
I think it's been long enough. They need to pounce. They need to capitalize, and they need to win the series. And it has to be tonight.
Like I said, if they do not win tonight, I do not think they win the series, and I think Houston is fully going to come back. Look, I just cannot see Houston. You're probably
3-0 lead. 3-0 lead the second time in sports history for the fucking Astros.
Yeah.
I do not want to see it happen. Please, Rays. I never thought I'd be saying this fucking win tonight.
Because I think if Snell goes tonight, tomorrow is probably going to be Tyler Glass now. Even though he pitched 2 days ago, because it'll be games. Because that was game 4.
He's going to go on short rest.
Yeah,
he's going to go on short rest.
Absolutely. And the Rays have the bullpen to be able to win the game. That's just certain. Minus the whole Carlos Correa fluke home run last night.
It's not a fluke home run. He's playing extremely well.
He is playing very well.
I know we'd rather not give him the credit, but he's playing well. Good for him. Fuck him though.
All right, next topic. Let's go. Dodgers, Braves. The Braves have a surprising 3-1 lead. Last week, Bryce, both of us said that the Dodgers were going to win in 5 to 6 games. What are your thoughts on this? The Dodgers now have to get to 7 to win.
Well,
do you think Dustin May is going to do it? And remember, Dustin May pitched 2 days ago. Yeah, so he's on short rest starting this game. What do you think for tonight?
Well, okay, but to be fair, he came in relief. So
he did, but he still pitched an inning or 2.
Yeah, okay. So what do you realistically think he could go? 70, 80 pitches? I think he can go that much. Okay. So
that's what, 3-4 innings against the Braves, depending on how they're playing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he needs to come out and pitch well. They have no chance if he doesn't come out and just strikes guys out. He needs to come in and get quick outs. So none of us predicted this, and I'm speaking for myself, but I probably am speaking for you too. None of us could have predicted this in a million years because who knew the Dodgers would get this cold on offense? Besides Game 3, which is talk about a fluke. If they don't come out and score more than 2 runs like they did last night, then that's a fluke. You can't go and score 11 runs in 1 inning and score 15 runs in a game and then come out and score 2. You need to consistently be hitting in the postseason, or else you can't make it past this. Can you imagine I just want to say this before you give your take on this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a Braves Astros World Series?
I'm too busy imagining a Braves-Rays World Series.
What do you mean? That's much better. The Rays are a solid team.
You would really
the Rays are a great team.
Braves Astros World Series over a Braves versus Rays World Series.
I'd rather see Braves Rays. I do not want to see the Astros in the
Okay, we agree on that. I was going to say, if you want to see the Astros in the World Series.
No way.
Wow. But if the, like I said, if the Astros win tonight, they're winning they're winning the series. I don't think they lose Game 7. I just think that's just the Astros underdog mentality that I just, I like because I like Dusty Baker. I think he's a good manager and I want to see him have success. But at the end of the day, I hate, as much as you, I hate the Astros. So I don't want to see the actual Astros have success. But to me, what's so interesting about tonight's game and the series itself, and you said it yourself, it's been such a lopsided series. Game 1 wasn't close. Game 2 wasn't close. Game 3 No, game 2 was actually close. That was the 8-7 win for the Braves. But the Braves in the 9th inning were up 8-1. The Dodgers scored 6 runs. They were up like 8-2. The Dodgers scored like 5-6 runs at the bottom of in the top of the 9th game. Game 3, blowout in the Dodgers. Game 4, blowout for the Braves. Tonight, my guess, probably a blowout for the Dodgers. If you want my honest opinion.
I agree.
I would love to see Atlanta win. Don't get me wrong. I think Atlanta has done amazing. Brian Snitker is a great manager. I think that team is special. I think they're gonna add another bullpen arm and definitely maybe a veteran starter, maybe Trevor Bauer in the offseason.
No,
I disagree. I think they need a starter.
This team, they have Mike Soroka coming back. Do you forget that they have Mike Soroka?
I forgot.
This team has one of the best young pitching
whatever he did.
Yeah. Max Fried.
You're right.
Max Fried. You obviously have him.
Right. And then, that's why I forgot.
I
forgot. I completely forgot about Soroka. But the fact that this
Max Fried, Soroka, Ian Anderson, this team is set for the next 10 years.
And this Bryce Wilson
10 years.
Kid who pitched
Bryce Wilson
amazing last night. This team is set, and they will go on a World Series run another year.
This is like the '90s Braves with Smoltz, with
Chipper Jones in the late '90s.
Well, Greg Maddux,
Greg
Maddux, Smoltz. This team could definitely mirror that.
They can do damage. If they don't win it this year, they're definitely going to be a front runner for next year, in my opinion, in the betting books. So my guess is tonight is going to be a blowout for the Dodgers. What's your take for tonight's game? What do you think it's going to be?
I agree. If this series is going to continue in the way it's going, I think the Dodgers win easily tonight. But I do think the Braves end up winning the series. I just don't. I mean, unless the Dodgers bats get hot and then stay hot, which I don't see happening. It's just like they're going to get hot for a game and they get shut down the next game because the Braves are that good at pitching. So, and I can't see, the Dodgers winning the series unless they have a really good game tonight and prove the fact that they can, come back from a 3-1 lead. It would be great for LA too.
And the only thing currently worse than the Yankees bullpen, the Dodgers bullpen, which is really surprising because if you look at who pitched last night, Kenley Jansen had a fine inning.
He's your only guy that you can go to all the time.
No, you can't. He was the one who lost the game a couple days ago.
I understand, but like on paper, he's the one guy.
Gratterall, who was their guy for the playoffs, blew the lead last night. He gave up the home run, or he gave up the big hits. That was a terrible inning, but that just shows how good the Braves really are. And I think everyone was so hung up on the Dodgers and Mookie Betts and everything that we kind of forgot, hey, Freddie Freeman, former MVP. Dansby Swanson.
The MVP this year.
Probably the MVP this year. Dansby Swanson. Kid's pretty good. Played shortstop at Vanderbilt and won a national championship. Was in the running for Rookie of the Year last year.
Number one pick.
Marcell Ozuna. People forget about Marcell Ozuna because he was, at the Cardinals and the Marlins. He didn't have, in the Marlins, he didn't have that good of a start last year. He had an up and down year with the Cardinals. Seems to be slugging this year. Who am I missing? You also have guys like Travis d'Arnaud, who was with the Mets in 2015. So
Ronald Acuna Jr. and Ozzie Albies.
Playoff experience. Oh, I was getting there. Then you have your young guys. Not only Swanson, but you have Ronald Acuna Jr., who's honestly one of the most exciting players in baseball. Hot take, more exciting than Fernando Tatis. That might not be that hot of a take, but I think it is because everyone's so high up on Tatis Jr. I think Acuna Jr.
Okay, a year and a half ago, that was just Acuna Jr.
Yeah, but now it's Tatis Jr. But Ronald Acuna Jr. showed that he was that good. And you have Ozzie Albies, your second baseman. I mean, you look at that team. That team's ridiculous. And wait, don't they have Josh Donaldson? Josh Donaldson was last year. He's up in Minnesota this year. That's my fault.
Yeah. He's sitting on the couch.
Yeah, he's sitting on the couch right now.
Just like the last 18 games of Minnesota Twins baseball in the postseason.
I can't believe they're 0-18. That's just crazy to talk about. We didn't even talk about
7 games against the Yankees.
It's crazy.
7 games.
And I had them. I picked in the preseason the Twins to go to the NLCS. My NLCS was Twins Yankees. I had the Rays in the playoffs. Here was my original playoff prediction with the 5 teams. It was Yankees, Twins, Athletics, Astros, and I'm forgetting my last team. I think I threw like the Angels in.
You didn't pick the Rays?
No. I'm sorry. I picked the Rays and then the Astros. Those were my 5. I did pick the Rays because I picked the Rays to win the wild card game, and then I picked the Yankees to beat the Rays. That was wrong. In my NL, I had Cubs, and that was right. Braves, Dodgers. I put the Padres in because I thought they were special, and I think I put the Cardinals. Yeah. I mean, I was for the 10 playoff teams I picked. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty accurate right now. I think I went 10 for 10. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because we're at the NLCS and the expanded playoffs helped. That's all I gotta say for that.
Let's move on to the NFL. Speaking of, some bad problems. we have a huge problem on our hands with the NFL and COVID. What is going on? What is going on? Who is tested positive? Do you have the rundown?
Oh, God. The Patriots have yet another positive test.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think it was someone like a defensive tackle. It wasn't like a big no name, but Stephon Gilmore and Cam Newton just practiced a couple days ago, which is a good sign for the Patriots. That game is probably going to be played Monday night. I don't see it not being played Monday night, but we'll see. Odell Beckham Jr. tested negative after reports were that he came down with symptoms or something. I don't know. I read that like 10 minutes before we started recording, so I'm not 100% sure on that. And the Colts ended up resuming practice today, which is a really good sign for them because they are honestly probably a wild card team right now. I don't think they win the AFC South. I think Tennessee wins it because Tennessee, who we'll get to in a minute, who also had COVID issues, played extremely well. They're now 4-0. They're not 4-1. They're 4-0.
Oh, I forgot because they didn't play. Yeah, okay.
They had the bye week.
They didn't play that one
game. Got pushed back. But, COVID stuff is COVID stuff. That's just our updates for this week. And there goes my cap for my water bottle. But let's get into the big news of the week. Le'Veon Bell has been traded from the New York Jets.
Speaking of things that just went, Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell has been traded from the New York Jets to.
He wasn't traded. He was released.
He was released.
They took on a $15 million cap hit.
Jets.
No one wanted him. Who wanted that cap? Who wanted that?
I did. I wanted him in Chicago.
You wanted that contract? You wanted that contract?
No, not the contract. Exactly. I wanted Le'Veon Bell in Chicago.
Exactly.
Oh, current update for anyone watching, which we'll get to later. Nick Saban just tested negative, but we'll get to that. Yeah, he just tested negative. Apparently.
What?
Yeah,
he had it for 3 days.
He tested positive 3 days ago. Okay, we'll get there. We're pushing ahead in the rundown.
I guess COVID did not want Bama. COVID did not want Bama,
and quite frankly, neither does Georgia this weekend if Saban's negative.
That is true.
But Le'Veon Bell's traded, or not traded, waiver wired. He's picked up off waivers, and the Jets and Giants still suck. Bryce, your takes.
Okay, yeah, okay. I think the fact, the thing is like you have the Giants who are really bad, and then you have the Jets who are the worst team in like 5 years. The Jets are that bad. They have an incompetent coach, a coach that cannot put together an offensive scheme, can't run plays, can't use any one of his weapons, can't use one of his assets. He didn't run the offense through Le'Veon Bell. He basically said when they signed him, we don't really need that good of a running back, which signaled the end of days, which ended up coming now. Adam Gase needs to be fired. And Sam Darnold is getting screwed. He's getting absolutely destroyed by the fact that his coach is not anything that he was set out to be. And they need to fire. They need to fire him. They need to fire him.
And if I'm the New York Jets, I get it. You let him finish out the season and then you fire him. No. Best case scenario, he coaches 0-16. You still have the number 1 overall pick. Worst case scenario, yes, I do. I guess they should just restart right now. But at the end of the day, we're already, this is week 6 of the NFL 2020 season, weird COVID season. You're not going to restart now. There's no reason to. I don't fully understand why the Texans a couple of weeks ago fired Bill O'Brien because they're not making the playoffs either. If you're not making the playoffs, you shouldn't be firing your coach. Just let him coach out the season.
Okay, Bill O'Brien
doesn't matter.
Also,
Bill O'Brien was a huge issue.
He won 3 division titles.
Don't get me wrong. He
also made one of the worst trades in NFL history, though.
Oh no, I think it's the worst trade in NFL history. Looking at it right now, the Cardinals right now aren't good enough for me to say it was. They fully won the trade. They haven't. They had a great week 1, but they haven't had good success since then.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, that's just a little bit on that. The Titans on Tuesday night, it wasn't Monday, it was Tuesday. They played the first Tuesday night game in 10 years, demolished the Buffalo Bills, who were looking like the best team in the AFC, who were looking like one of the best teams in the AFC, after only practicing 2 times because of COVID. Yeah. What do you make out of that? Are the Titans for real?
Give the ball to Derrick Henry and get out of the fucking way. That's their game plan.
At Josh Norman. Norman.
Yes, exactly. Like that stiff arm.
Yeah.
You can't even stop the guy. And then when they come out and blitz and they try to stop the run, Tannehill could throw the ball. Tannehill has a great arm. So you have to look out downfield, and you also have to watch, the inside runs because you can't stop him. He's going to get at least 3 to 4 yards every time, like guaranteed, no matter how bad the run actually looks. So they are just extremely versatile. They're dynamic offense, and Mike Vrabel is one of the up-and-coming coaches. We saw that because they
Absolutely agree.
We forget they made the AFC Championship game last year.
Mm-hmm.
This team is really good.
At 9-7, they made the AFC Championship,
and they beat the Patriots.
And they didn't just beat the Patriots; they beat the Bills too. I'm sorry, they didn't beat the Bills. They beat the Ravens too to get there. So they didn't just beat the Patriots; they beat the Ravens too.
But those are two teams who've accounted for like 6 of the last 10 Super Bowls. Like 5 of the last 10 Super Bowls, which is still insane.
More an accurate number. Yeah, that's insane. Let's get into some game picks, something we haven't done in a while. We'll only pick 2 games this week because I didn't think that there were enough good games this week to really pick. I mean, we could pick the Bears-Panthers because that's a 4-1 versus 3-2, and the Panthers somehow look good without Christian McCaffrey, which it's funny because if you listen, Richard Sherman was on with Colin Cowherd, and he said something that I actually agree with, was that they're finally opening up the offense because Christian McCaffrey's not there, and they're allowing Teddy Bridgewater to be Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, and then you have a guy who can.
So personally,
Mike Davis could do almost exactly what McCaffrey's doing, but in less workload. So it's working out.
Yeah. So if I'm the Panthers, I'm right now in no rush to get McCaffrey back.
Yeah, let's keep him out.
But if I'm, as the Bears fan I am, hey, let's put McCaffrey in. They were 0-2 with him. Let's put McCaffrey in. All right. Buccaneers, Packers game picks. Both teams have 4 wins, but the Packers are 4-0 after a bye week, and the Buccaneers have a long weekend. Had the long weekend off after playing the Bears on Thursday night. Bryce, who are you taking in this game and why?
I got the Packers in this game. I think the Buccaneers have been really able to contain some of the teams they've beaten in the past couple of weeks, but I think the Packers offense is running on all cylinders right now. Aaron Jones is almost impossible to stop, just like Derrick Henry. Very similar games, but Derrick Henry's 6'4" and Aaron Jones is like 6 feet. But I think that their offense is running really well right now. I got the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to completely agree. I have the Packers as well. The only reason I do have the Packers over the Bucs, at first I was going to pick the Bucs, but I got an alert about an hour, like 20 minutes before we started recording the podcast, that Devontae Adams is back this week. He will be playing against the Buccaneers. So that's just a whole other reason why to pick the Packers. Like I said, the Packers are easily one of the best teams in the NFC. It's no question. Here we go. Game in the AFC, one of my favorite games. It's a Monday night game. Chiefs versus Buffalo Bills. I think it's Monday night. Not 100% sure. Who do you got and why, Bryce?
Well, I think looking at it, it's very easy to say that the Chiefs will win. Both teams are coming off losses. The Bills did not play well last week. Did not play well at all. So I as much as I want to take the Bills because they're coming off a bad loss, the Chiefs are also. So I am still probably going to take the Chiefs. Also with, Le'Veon Bell will not be able to play this week, but next week you're going to see a lot more of a dynamic. I know Edwards-Helaire is a solid running back, but he's not been doing much in third down. He hasn't been doing much near the goal line. So once he comes, and they're going to have to rely less on their running game, or because they're going to have an automatic scoring option every time, they're going to do better. But I do think the Chiefs will still win this week too.
I'm going to go with the Bills here. I think they bounce back. I think Josh Allen shows us why he's going to win the MVP this season. I don't know. There's just something about the game and something about the Chiefs that I don't know. Maybe it's the absence of a running game with Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, he's been good so far, but he hasn't really, been the same player that we thought he was going to be after the week 1 game against whoever they played week 1. I think it was the Texans. And you can't forget the Bills have a very good defense. Yeah. You can't sleep on the Bills defense. Yeah, they faced the number 1 running back in the league last week with Derrick Henry as of number 1 power back, and they just weren't able to stop him. But you can't sleep on the Bills defense. I'm going to go with the Bills this week. I'm going to take a pick different than you, just so we have some fun this week, some fun competition.
Good, thank you.
On to some college football quickly. Big Ten football comes back next week. I'll say that quickly. IU plays Penn State on the 24th. My prediction for that game is Penn State by 1,000,000.
Starting out the season with a loss. How's that going to feel, Evan?
Well, it's probably typical for the Big Ten schedule for us to start the season on a loss. But usually we get the 3 wins because we play UConn, Eastern or Western Kentucky, and Western Illinois. I do like IU football's chances this year. I do actually think we could upset Penn State. It's also at home. It's in Bloomington. We lost by 7 in station or wherever Penn State plays, Beaver Stadium. I'm blanking right now.
Dude, you're a Big Ten fan. Come on.
I know. And Happy Valley. We lost by 7 in Happy Valley last year. We should have won that game. But that's a story for another time. And Georgia versus Alabama, exactly what we were talking about earlier. Nick Saban.
If he's on the sideline, they will win by 50.
Absolutely agree. That you know, those guys run
If he's
through
near the
an
sideline.
actual, yeah. If he's like in a booth, I think if he's on the stadium premises, Alabama is going to win.
Even if he's wearing a hazmat suit on the sideline, they will still win.
He's definitely gonna be in like a hazmat suit, all the face mask, the shield,
with the face cover, the shield, yeah,
face covering. Like he's gonna do the whole 9 yards.
He still
and
has
he will
that.
be there. But he did test negative today.
Just like, I'm sorry, like that doesn't happen unless he had it for a week and a half. That means his entire team would have it.
Maybe they do.
No, they're definitely getting tested every day, though. That's the thing.
Oh, absolutely. All college athletes are. But the weird thing is, you know, you test positive and then you test negative a couple days later. You have no symptoms, and he hasn't gave it to none of the players have tested positive yet.
Mm.
You know, again, yeah, this is gonna get a little political right here, but God, COVID is so weird. It's strange.
Good take. Yeah, good take.
Like just earlier this week, I was with someone who tested positive. I tested negative this morning. They didn't have symptoms. They were in quarantine for 3 weeks. I'm not going to say any names in specific, but it's just so weird. I mean, no one listens to the podcast at this point, so I can say whatever the fuck I want, and no one's going to hear it. Maybe my mom's still listening. I highly doubt it, though. She probably got bored
she probably
too.
has a short attention span of shit you said.
But man,
she's tuned out after the second minute.
Oh yeah, I mean most people tune out after the third minute, so I'm not surprised.
All right, so let's talk about the last thing. The Lakers won the NBA championship. I know you're not a huge NBA fan, but you still have to know, you know, the impact of this on the NBA. What are your
absolutely. Like I said last week, it's a LeBron James championship in LA. I don't think it's a Los Angeles Lakers championship. LeBron James willed them to win that. You know, we've said it over and over. Once Kobe passed away back in January, you knew the Lakers were going to win no matter what it took. Full credit to Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. I think they played an outstanding series, even though, you know, the score was 4-2. The series score was 4-2. My prediction was Lakers in 5. They ended up winning in 6. But just overall an outstanding series by the Heat, in my opinion. But you weren't beating LeBron James after everything that happened this year. Yeah, that's pretty much my take. But again, it's a LeBron James championship that was won in Los Angeles. And a credit to AD too. I think he might have gotten snubbed for MVP.
I agree.
But
I agree.
They were not giving the MVP to LeBron James.
Yeah, 100%. I think that this is probably the most production you've ever seen LeBron's number 2 give a team. I think on other teams, there's been 3 stars, though. There has been 3. To be fair, this is the first team where it's just been a 1-2 punch. Besides, you know, in 2007 with LeBron and Zydrunas Ilgauskas, but you know, that's
history.
Yeah. If you didn't know, you know, but this is an extremely important championship, especially for the healing of the city of LA. They obviously went through a horrible tragedy just with the rest of the sports world.
Yeah.
They obviously took the brunt of it because they're LA. They grew up loving Kobe. That's their guy. I think he's the greatest Laker of all time. And I think it's, you know, it's hard to argue that, you know, he's not.
Would you put LeBron in that conversation?
No, he's played 2 seasons there. So
just making sure. No, I agree.
No.
I agree.
If he wins two more championships there, yes, he's on the. Yeah, I think he's like out of the best players who've ever played on the Lakers. Like he's up there with like Kareem and, you know, obviously Kobe and Magic.
But like the best Laker from
and Wilt, like, you know, Wilt.
Through.
Like Wilt wasn't. From draft or like probably you're looking at like Elgin Baylor, James Worthy, obviously Magic, Kobe. You can't say. I guess Pau Gasol. I mean, like probably in the top 15 because there's a lot of good Lakers.
I mean, it's
there's
a
lot of good Lakers. Like George Mikan. You're forgetting George Mikan, who won 4 championships with the Minneapolis Lakers. I don't think that they should include those. I do not think that they should include the 5 championships that they won in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yes. Well,
technically they do because they relocated from Minneapolis to LA.
Yeah, they're the same franchise.
It's the same general franchise, which is why I do think you include them because it's no different than, you know, I'm blanking. Like, what's like a relocated franchise in like the NFL? Or think about it. Okay, would you say that the Montreal Expos won the World Series last year? So it's a credit to the Montreal Expos organization, even though they disbanded it and moved to Washington.
How many World Series? How many World Series did they win in Montreal?
0.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter.
No,
because
but it's still the franchise. It's still the franchise.
No, I understand.
So you would technically say the Montreal Expos / Washington Nationals franchise has 1 ring, but to everyone else currently, it's the Nationals have the ring. It's not the Expos.
Well, I think that's a different situation and another conversation for another day. But I do think that like I understand why, and I understand why they would, like obviously they're going to include it, but I just don't think that, because when they claim to have the same amount of championships as the Boston Celtics, and the fact is that people say, oh, the Celtics won their championships when it was all white guys and Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain, but
they still won.
When you look at it, the Lakers won 5 championships in the 50s. The Celtics won 11. They won 11 in 13 years. They won 11 from 1957 to 1968. So they at least were in the 60s, most of their championships. The Lakers, however, they won 5 of them in the 50s when it was all white. So I think not all white. I mean, there's obviously some black players.
Majority.
Yes. But the Lakers storied franchise, but I still think the Celtics are a superior franchise. They've won all their championships in the same 50 yards. They used to win.
Besides the new stadium, but stadiums don't matter. It's the same franchise.
At the Boston Garden, they won 16 of their championships, and they won 1 in the TD Garden. I think that having that storied franchise and having one guy who's the GM, Red Auerbach, until 2004, from like the 60s to 2004, it's just a way more storied franchise. They have a lot less, really good, solid players as the Lakers do. And the Lakers have won way more championships in the last century, since, the new millennium in 2000. But the Lakers, they're a never-ending dynasty. They've been winning consistently for 70 years, and something that, the Yankees cannot say because they don't win. They didn't win in the 2010s.
The Yankees also, I was going to say, the 2010s are, I think, the first decade
ever
that the Yankees did not get a title since the 20s.
Yes.
And now we're in the 20s. But the Yankees will probably get a title in the next couple of years. Wouldn't be surprising.
I would.
Last thing we'll talk about, overtime topic. The Masters is about a month away. Who is your early favorite?
DeChambeau. I think you don't understand. You do not everyone saw this at Winged Foot, but not at Augusta. No one's going to understand the full magnitude of this guy's power and how fucking far he hits it down the fairway until you see what he's going to do at Augusta. Like the fact that he's going to be able to have like a 30-yard shot into the first, second, and the fourth holes. I know it's hard to understand.
Such a difference.
No,
if you play golf, you understand. Like a 30-yard shot, if you're good enough to, successfully
especially him
shot,
for his wedges.
Yeah.
His wedges are on point always.
Yeah. And his drive is usually there as long as he stays out of the rough.
If he stays out of the rough, he wins. Augusta National does not have much rough. It is mostly fairway. It is nowhere near as much rough as Winged Foot, and we saw what he was able to do at Winged Foot. Think about what he's going to do on the 13th hole. 13th is the dog leg par 5. It's the one that goes around, the one where Phil hit the shot behind the tree within the pine straw. I don't know if you remember that, but he's going to go directly. He's going to have 50 yards in. He's going to have 50 yards in. Do you see what he was doing at the Shriners Hospital Open?
Yeah.
What is going on?
It was you go out and then you dog leg, and he's just going right over onto the trees. That was insane.
He had a 400-yard drive. He saw a hole and was like, oh, this green is 380 yards away. Let me bomb a fucking drive down the middle and roll it up on the green. And then the commentators have no idea where the ball is. And they have to zoom in because every time DeChambeau hits a ball, the cameramen are focused here and the ball's going down. It's trickling down the fairway over here. And they always have to turn it quickly. You notice that? No one ever, who else? They don't have to do that for anyone else.
Didn't he drive into the group in front?
Yes. He's done that multiple times this year.
Yeah.
He's scary. What if he bulks on more? But okay, but wait.
I don't think he can because I just don't think he can, physically be able to handle more. Yeah. But God, I think
his mobility will be obviously limited.
I think he's going to win. I think a top 5 finish. Justin Thomas will get that top 5 finish. You don't think so? You think he's going to fall apart? He doesn't perform at Augusta. He hasn't won them. He hasn't come close to winning. Jordan Spieth used to perform at Augusta. He doesn't perform.
He also used to perform in general. He used to perform, anywhere in general. But now he's terrible because he's switched his swing. But I'll give you.
Story for another time.
I'm gonna give 2 picks.
Okay.
I like DeChambeau, and I like Xander Schauffele. I think he came extremely close last year. If he stays consistent and he putts well like he has been lately, I think he has a shot. I would say you could see a top 10 between him. What do you think?
I would say another guy to keep your eye on for at least a top 10 finish, Colin Morikawa. I think he's gonna play well there. He's been playing well all year. it just is going to kind of roll over, and maybe, he could win.
Wait, is this his first Masters?
Yes.
Yeah, because the U.S. Open was his first, or no, I meant the PGA Championship was his first major ever, and he won it.
Yeah. Colin Morikawa, everybody. That's going to do it for our show this week. Thank you so much for staying this long, because I know 90% of you who started this are not still here.
This is a good show. This is a really good show.
People should watch this.
This is actually our best show. I think it's not even close.
Really? I would argue last week was up there.
Okay, but
this week and next week is going to be better. Next week is going to be better.
It's just going to keep getting better.
Every week we improve. For Bryce, Kelvin, I'm Evan Kamigo. This has been the B&E Podcast. We'll see you next week.
'Cause I'm better off.